Welcome back, my friends. I am John Ryan. This is the Predictive PlayBook, and as you can tell, I'm at Manny's pub. Manny's not here just yet, but I did get a message that he's going to be giving me a piece of paper with a very good best bet on it. His best bets are 3-0, and that might be Manny now.
Might be.
It might be.
There he goes. He said he hung up on us.
But anyway, welcome to the show as always, Tony. It's good to see you. I know you got the second shot, and thank goodness you didn't get the major side effects. I guess you had a few, though.
Well, it's just I'd done a bunch of. I've been doing some landscaping. This particular port was I climbed. We have a tree it's about 25, 30 feet, and I climbed it to trim it, and I trimmed a lot of it, and I shouldn't. I've been doing it for 5 years, but it's a soft one, so it's grown so much. I probably should have hired someone to do it, but I'm pretty stubborn. And so by doing that and then getting that shot, I woke up the next morning, felt like I was in a bar fight. I stood up and fell flat. My leg, everything was weird. It was really weird. It wasn't painful, but it was just uncomfortable and all those things that happen to you when you get over the head with a crowbar.
I never had that happen.
Well,
that I know of.
I don't recommend it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I don't think it would.
Unless you like milkshakes, and then you prefer across the jaw, and you're drinking milkshakes for about 6 weeks.
Yeah. And you could drink smoothies.
It's not bad. That's not a bad benefit.
Yeah. Yeah. So I had quite the day. Getting to know horse racing now with Marco is just it's a privilege. It's a privilege to be on a show hosting a guy like that he's been in it since 1986. We talked about Baffert and
and
I had
100 horses.
Well, I think
Kentucky Derby.
I think he has more than 100 actually. But,
well, no, 100 horses entered into the Kentucky Derby.
Well, he
can't lose.
Well, he had won this last time. It was the first time ever, and the one horse that did not run did very poorly at the Arkansas Derby.
Yeah.
Here, I'll pull up the odds here for us.
Well, I didn't
go.
watch the race, but I talked to my wife and I asked her who won the race, and she said, "Well, who do you think won the race?" I said, "I have no idea." She goes, "Well, Baffert won the race." I said, "Well, what? That's new. That's surprising." So
I was on Midnight Bourbon. He's a sprinter. And I think this race suits him pretty well. Concert Tours, the horse that had a different jockey too, and for whatever reason, Baffert changed jockeys. And what I learned with Marco is that there's a lot of reasons why jockeys switch, and one is that they will pick the best horse when they have a chance and to make a choice, but they're also loyal to the stable that gives them the most rides too.
Yes, they are. So a lot of those guys are loyal. There are a lot of them loyal to the ones that gave them the first break, and regardless of the talent of the horse, they will. Loyalty means a lot to some people. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to. I'm loyal beyond to fault sometimes, and I think that would describe that pretty well.
I know you're loyal to this show. That's for sure.
Well, I'm loyal to a lot of things, but I can be bought like anybody else.
Yeah, I think Fred Flintstone was what was it, a Loyal Order of Water Buffaloes or something? I always remember that. It was pretty good. But as you can see on this board here, we went through the whole thing with Baffert, and I did the story where Rafael Palmeiro, for those that are too young in the chat room to remember those days back in early 2000. He stood in front of Congress and said, "I have never taken performance-enhancing drugs at all my life, and I never will." Well, there was a president that said, "I never did that with you-know-who," and her name was Monica. So I figured anytime anybody's pointing at you...
I am not a crook.
Right.
I am not a crook.
And that was like that, too. So anytime anybody's pointing at you, they're full of you-know-what. So I used that as an example. I thought that was pretty clever. But then, Marco comes up with a good one I have to tell you about, because he says, it's like your wife comes home from work and you've been sensing all along she's been having an affair, probably with the president of the company,
right?
And the husband confronts her, and what's going on? And she, I'm not having an affair. Positively, I'm not having an affair with the president of the company. So he goes with it, right? He says, "Oh, thank God, it's great." And what she refused to, indulge to him was that she was having an affair with the head of finance, Bill. And he told that, and oh my God, I just started cracking up. He told it a lot better.
Yeah, well,
but then this whole Baffert thing now with the gel, there was we remember that in the baseball days too. That guys were testing right and left, and they were saying, "Oh, it must have been the pain gel I was using."
Right.
But how much pain gel do you have to have on a horse to get it to test 2.5 times the normal level?
I don't know, but if you got some good pain gel, I can guarantee you don't have enough. Not for me.
And I want to share this with you too. And Marco wanted me to specifically tell you.
Tell me.
Of all the people, all the men he knows in this world, you are by far the one that could pass a drug test.
I wonder why he said that. I don't know why he would say that. But you mean that I could pass one, or because I knew how to cheat one, or just because I don't do drugs?
Well, I think it was probably all three, but I think the middle one. I think the middle one is where he was going with it.
Okay, all right. I do know how. Absolutely, every red, white, and blue. Every red-blooded American kid, and I am a kid. Chronologically, I'm not a kid, but I'm a kid. Should know how to pass a drug test if they have to. I've always said, listen, guys, I've always said this, and I mean it wholeheartedly. My wife and I owned a company. At one time, we employed about 15 or 18, right around there. We had a couple. We did lawn maintenance, snow removal, equipment repair for a big company, and the initials of the company were Pepsi, and in Kansas City, and I always said to her, I say, she said, well, when are we going to start giving these guys drug tests? Because I know these guys. I said, listen, if we give drug tests, and you pass your drug test, you are not hired because I do not trust you. There you go.
Yeah, that was pretty straightforward.
Yeah. So we never did get a drug test, but yeah. If you would have passed, then no. I'm sorry, but you passed your drug test, you can't have this job.
Yeah, there's something wrong with you.
There's something wrong with you, without question.
So in this race, Marco, make a long story short, 3, 4, 5, and 10. Contra Tours, the second Baffert horse, ran very poorly at the Arkansas Derby. That's why he wasn't in the Kentucky Derby. So now he has Medina Spirit and Contra Tour in. But people have to remember, Baffert's the trainer. That doesn't mean he's the owner, and that's why there's two horses in the race, because he's a legendary trainer, and he's in a little bit of trouble right now. Well,
guess what? It's not the first time. These guys have run so many horses, so many different tracks. It's much like the news I sprung to you, John, about Power 5 football, Power 6 college basketball coaches that just all of them stretch the rules, bend them, break them, do whatever they can. They'll do as much as they can not to get caught, or to believe that they have a loophole, or they fit what their execution or their act inside of that loophole so that they can get away with it. All of them, every one of them. Bear Bryant, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. So it's just part of the game. And we know all these horse owners that have fudged something here or there to make their horse more fit or feel less pain, just like we do as human beings. I don't know that because I've spent hours and days and weeks and months in stables or on the track, but it's human nature. It's just it's what every company does. It's what we do with our taxes. It's just what we do. We hire people that know how to bend and break the rules, or at least come close to it.
There's a IRS agent in the chat room, Tony.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, well, guess what? Sorry, but somebody already beat you to it. I'm being audited right now.
So anyway, the race here, I'm going to break it down real quick.
Okay.
In the high level overview here. So what you're going to have is there's 3 and possibly 4 sprinters in this horse. Medina Spirit is one of them. Midnight Bourbon is obviously one of them. And then you have Concert Tour, he said, was probably going to come out of the gate and then just sit basically on the shoulder of Midnight Bourbon and Medina Spirit. Crowded Trade is a horse that can track them down. So you'll see the 4-horse lagging behind. And there's a term, too. It's called a suicide splits is what was referenced. You know, that this could be an extraordinarily fast quarter mile.
Makes sense.
And
this is one of those races that a 10-horse field, a closer has a much better chance than a 20-horse field, obviously. So
sure does.
You like to have a speed, I would like to have a speed in a 20-horse race. Obviously, speed that can hold up.
Yep.
But much that has to do with the fractions and what the first quarter is, et cetera, et cetera.
And France Go Diina is from Japan, so not much is known about the horse, and it's 20-1. But legendary jockey Joel Rosario is the jockey, and that does say something. And maybe that 20-1 there is worth to have on your trifectas, just so that horse doesn't ruin your trifectas.
Maybe
that makes sense.
Yeah, well, but if I'm looking at jockeys, then here's the deal: 9-5 is a considerable. Well, I guess on a 10-horse field, it's with John Velasquez, and if I'm going to play jockeys in this race, I'm going to be on John Velasquez. I'm going to be on Mike Smith, and at that point in time, really, those are the two that maybe Jose. I don't know.
Castellano's pretty good.
True, but all those guys are good. All these jockeys are terrific. They're world class jockeys. Obviously, they wouldn't be in this race. But Mike Smith, I can't believe Mike Smith's even still getting on the back of a horse. I mean, he's got to be 105, 106 years old.
Well, he's the new replacement for Concert Tour. I forget who the other jockey was that didn't run the horse so well at Arkansas. He was battling another horse and got immensely fatigued down the stretch and had nothing
Oaklawn
left.
Oaklawn Park in Arkansas. Great track, by the way. They only run. It's much like Saratoga, where Saratoga only runs in August. That 1 month's meet between Belmont and Aqueduct, or at least it used to be that way. Listen, I don't even know, John. I know that some tracks have. When the pandemic kind of made its mark and put a dent in some of the economics of that business, although they don't have to necessarily have a crowd to run horse races, with everything being you can do simulcast, so that all that stuff's pretty much legal nowadays. I mean, and before it had depended on the state, but I still think, like anything, horse racing probably took a little bit of a hit during the last 18 months or whatever the case may be. Am I wrong?
I would think so.
You think I'm wrong, or
No, I think you're right.
I would be surprised, but I was wrong 10 times before noon, and it's now here in the Pacific time zone 127. So I've been now making 11 times.
And you got 3 hours more extra time than I do to be wrong.
I know, and I do it well.
Well, there you have it for the horse racing, and he has a special. Marco has a special Wager Talk going on too. I wanted to tell everybody about. It's $39 for everything on Saturday, and includes the Preakness. And it's not just the horses I mentioned. He goes into great detail with the exacta, trifecta, and my favorite, the superfecta.
Yeah.
And I don't know who told him, but somebody's talking behind my back, because he said that he heard that someone said that because I'm getting into this horse racing, they're concerned that he created a monster.
Well, I didn't say
that.
I didn't say that, but what I wanted to say was, I wanted to say when you told me you're starting to get interested in horse racing, I was going to say, do you really need to add another vice to your long list? Horse racing is it's kind of. I think it's a lot of fun. I think I told you some stories about when I was in college. Remember, we went to the horse track every day, but we went to a small track where the handle was so bad, it was so crooked that it wasn't reading the form. It's if we can get the right information on the right jockey, the right owner, and the right horse. It was Paradise. It was Turf Paradise in Phoenix, and the track was fairly small. So, and what I mean by that is the purses weren't very large, so the quality of the horses weren't great, and because of that, like anything in life, it was a little bit of corruption.
A little bit.
A little bit.
A little bit's tolerable, I think.
It's corruption. I think corruption is I don't think we have. It's going to be difficult to convince a player, a Michael Jordan or a James Harden or a Durant. And I shouldn't say Michael Jordan; he doesn't play anymore. But what I mean by this is that it's difficult to justify going to them and saying, "Listen, we're going to give you this much money to, go ahead and win the game, but don't win by 13 or more." What man? I mean, you're talking about we're almost $1 billion. Something that's a career that's worth $1 billion. How much can you pay? It's not Shoeless Joe, who was probably making $4,000 or $5,000 for the baseball season, and who I know this was a long time ago, but I still haven't. No one's convinced me yet that Shoeless Joe Jackson took part in that because it did. His numbers in that World Series don't portray a guy who's trying to throw the series. So
it's true.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the movie presented him like that. He was a very quiet, humble guy. And
I don't know enough about him. I know this only what I've read. That's all I can say. Only what I've read and what I saw. Only what Kevin Costner told me that he knew him from Field of Dreams.
Yep.
Yeah.
Here's some. The Black Eyed Susan is today.
I have just planted some Black Eyed Susans, by the way. They are a nice flowering vine, by the way, if anybody didn't want to know that.
It looks like Lou Dini here. It's got he's involved. This is definitely involved.
Who, Bafford's involved?
Well, either Bafford or Lou Dini. I think this is Lou Dini's bet.
Okay.
6-9.
Oh yeah, it is Lou Dini's bet. Yeah.
4, 5, 7, 8, 9, $20.
4, 5, 7, 8. I see 6, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. It's a key. It's a 6-9 key with a 4, 5, 7, 8, 9.
Oh, I got you. I see.
And that's for. Let me see what that is. It's a. Yep. This is a. Is this a daily double? Yeah, it's the Preakness Double. So it's a daily double. 6-9 in the first race. 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. Second race. $20 bill. For the deuce, even though. And if it's just a $2 double, then what do you got there? You got $20 bet, right, for a $2 double.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah. I like horse racing. Like I said, I like dog racing even more than I like horse racing. I think they're easier to handicap, and they don't have a human on their back dictating how fast, how slow, what direction they run in. They just follow the rabbit.
That's true.
Yeah. But I would tell you some stories about that as well. How the guy I knew had 400 greyhounds, how he fixed his own races. He was a degenerate beyond measure. and if I told you how they fixed these dog races, you would just say, my God, Tony, is there anything good in your life? No, I liked it.
You could have easily read it on Wikipedia. I mean, you didn't
I'm certain you could. I'm certain you could, but I bet some of the stuff I tell you, I'm certain it's available to read and learn about somewhere. I've never looked it up. I experienced it firsthand. So I saw it happen. I saw them do it. I saw them. They would, if they couldn't catch them, and they could catch some. There's not an exorbitant amount of jackrabbits in the desert. They need a little more, I think, vegetation, should I say? I'm guessing because they need carrots, and we don't have any carrots in the desert.
I heard out there where you live, there's not much vegetation, just a lot of holes.
Well, there's a lot.
They must have tried to plant something.
if there's a lot of holes, I guess
bury something,
right?
and I've been trying to dig it up for. Listen, if I see a hole, I believe wholeheartedly there's plenty of skeletons out here in the desert, and I believe also there is plenty of boxes and gold buried that will never be found, or at least in
our lifetimes.
Yeah, I'm not going to be one of those guys out there with a metal detector or a dollar bill detector. They make those.
Hey, did you know we had Nick Borman on the show?
No, but I've read about Nick Borman.
Yeah,
he's
a PGA. He's a PGA pro. With wager
golfer.
Yeah,
he's a golfer.
Hey,
I didn't know he could golf. I can golf a little bit. I used to be able to. Yeah, I had kids, got married, and had kids, so that pretty much puts a. If you're, I know this may come as a surprise to some, but if you were a dedicated father like I was, then golf became. I worked so much, John, that golf it takes up a lot of time. Golf does. I mean, it takes a lot of time.
It does.
It really does.
But speaking of golf, the AT&T Byron Nelson's taking place, and it's at a new venue. Is. And as we discussed,
round two.
It was amazing how Rob Vino really got into the golf. I think he's into golf now, like I'm into horse racing. And we have the same three therapists too. So it's good.
There you go.
Right? Save money on their costs and.
Yeah, I got the 5 sports I handle, and then I got my magical mystery tour, my quest for Quaaludes and stuff. I have lots of things on my plate. I don't have any time for another sport.
Yeah, damn it. I mean, your plate's huge to begin with.
It's
enormous.
It's pretty. The plate's big. There's not very much on it. That's we got to change that.
Well, Jordan Spieth shot 63 yesterday, and as we know in golf, you go low one day, and the next day it's not so low. He shot 70, but he's in second place, 11 under.
Well, yeah.
K.H. Lee shot back-to-back 7 unders. He's 14 under. Nick and I thought it would take 20 or 21 to win it.
Where's it being held at?
Crew.
Is it
It's in Texas.
Is this a regular stop?
Yes.
Is this the same course every year?
No, this is a new venue.
Okay, that's my question.
It's Crew, not Country Club, but it's Crew. I can look it up. There. It's a course that plays like Torrey Pines, except the greens are about 800 square feet bigger than Torrey Pines.
Big greens. Big greens are,
bigger than average, I would say. Torreys are pretty small. The par 5s are pretty small.
Do you play golf at all?
A lot.
Okay, so do you prefer big greens or small greens?
Depends on what the guy's handicap is.
Well, no, I mean you. What do you prefer?
I'll tell you what, and this is going to sound like a masochist for anybody that's played TPC Sawgrass, but I love those greens. And I'll tell you why, because it makes you think. And it makes you think more because the grain is so intense that a 7-foot putt into the green is like hitting a 20-foot putt with no grain, and a 7-foot putt with the grain is like hitting 3 inches.
Well, I don't ever think anyway when I play golf. I just hit the ball. I hit the ball, and when I get on the green, I don't care about the grains. I use a chipper. I just chip it in the hole.
Ben Hogan did that, I think.
I'm just kidding. It doesn't surprise me a bit. I mean, there are some greens where if you're on the green, there's no way to make the putt because of where you are and it depends on the pin placement, obviously, right? So
true.
But I've seen them chip because guess what? Where you have to hit the putt to at least get it close to the hole. It doesn't work with where the pin placement is, where your ball's at. So I don't. I've never played one of those courses.
Do you know why there's 18 holes? Apparently.
Well, no, I don't.
Apparently,
let me play with the. No, what? Well, tell me.
Well, it involves drinking back in Scotland, where this sport was founded.
Go ahead.
So, I guess in Scotland they tend to drink, from what I'm told, and 18 shots of whiskey is what was in a bottle. So that's how the 18 supposedly.
18 holes.
Yeah, instead of 20. I mean, I always wondered that too. Why 15, 20, 21?
Well, it's math. There's something mysterious involved. There always is something mysterious involved when it comes to numbers. As we've talked about the Fibonacci.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I think I found out too that Fibonacci's in your family tree.
Yes, I'm certain it is.
Yep.
Seeing that, and the sad thing and the scary thing about my life is that math was my strength.
Wow. Okay, Jordan Spieth is in second, and a name that I love seeing, Matt Kuchar, tied for
Matt
third.
Can't putt. Matt can't putt.
But this is a course where putting is neutralized because it's a new venue.
There you go.
New
there
venue,
you go.
right?
Well,
and
I know a little bit about golf, and I know that people I know say Kuchar's he can't putt. That's all I'm saying.
He seems to be putting the last 2 days, shot back-to-back 65s. The cut's going to be -5, if that gives you any indication about this course.
Then if we have somebody that's -14, -5, wow.
Five's pretty low. In fact,
it's pretty low.
The defending champion, Sue Kang, and I talked about this with David Behrman of ESPN on that show.
He's the defending.
Sue. Well, he's the defending
How do
champ.
you do?
And he's ranked.
Now you're going to die. What?
He's ranked, I think, 220th in the world. And he's the defending champ.
220th, and he's a defending champ. Well,
and he was 350 to 1 to win it. He was 8
when
or
he
9.
Did win it?
Well, no, I'm talking about this one.
Well,
he's the defending champ.
Okay, well then he won it last year.
I don't think they had this one last year because it was canceled because of COVID. But the year before,
he won the last one that was held.
Yes,
last term. And so, what was his odds for that?
I'm not 350 to 1.
100,000 to 1?
No, it was much lower.
Why?
But I don't know. I've never seen a golfer at 350 to 1.
Horse. Okay, you never what?
I never saw a guy lined at 350 to 1. I mean, that sounds like somebody should not be playing.
Well, maybe, I don't know. Maybe an amateur.
But David and I decided that on a flyer, top 20 was paying, I think, 9 to 1. I'd have to check my ticket. And he is in 23rd place at -8. And guess what else about him? He's a member at that course.
Well, that's against the rules.
So how can somebody be 350 to 1 and a member at a course? I mean, I could be a member at a course and
no. If I'm
not embarrass myself, maybe.
No, I'm certain that there's a big difference between playing around the golf and actually playing in front of people. And hey, Tony, we'll play up in the fairways today. Okay, no playing up. Touch the ball, and Jack Nicklaus will come swoop down and bop you in your ears and make them hurt, and tell you that Gary Player cheats. Gary Player cheats. Gary Player cheats. Gary Player cheats. That's what Jack Nicklaus would say.
We'll have to bring him on the show.
You don't remember the time that he accused Player of cheating? Yeah.
Well, Patrick Reed too was, but then that settled down.
Yeah.
That he was moving the ball in the sand trap.
I think all of them are too uptight. I don't give a shit. Cheat if you want. I mean, you're the one who has to sleep with that.
That's right. Yeah, and the $1 million that you shouldn't have won.
Yeah,
But the big round going on right now is Bryson. This is a Bombers course. It's 70 yards in total. 13 and 14 are fun holes to watch because 13 is 500 yards uphill. Sometimes into the wind too. And then the next hole is 324 yards, par 4. So needless to say, he's probably taking a 3 or 4 iron and hitting it 300 yards and rolling it on.
Maybe. Well, it depends. When I was playing golf in college, and I did, not on the course we played for college, but we would play on some local courses, Dobson Ranch, and there may be some people here in listening to the show that know Dobson Ranch. It was in Mesa, Arizona, and 40 years ago, you pull out a 3-wood and there's some 400-yard holes, but in the middle of summer, you can drive that 400-yard. You could drive it. It would roll 150 yards. So we could drive those par 4s, with a 3-wood. So that was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun. Hitting into people. Actually, didn't mean to. I didn't know you hit that far.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Well, guess who I have waiting to come on to give us his free pick?
The Devil's Daughters. They're going to sing Blue Moon of Kentucky.
I don't know him well enough that he would have been called that, but we are bringing on. Oh, look at this guy. Look at this guy. Mr. D Amico. How are you, sir?
I am wonderful, John. Thank you for having me, Tony. I can listen to you all day. I swear to God, you are as charming and entertaining as you are informative. I'll be honest, man. We got to do something together, me and you, because we could get together for like breakfast. By the time one of us says hello, it'll be lunchtime. I love listening to you. You are so informative, so entertaining, but so bright and sharp. And you really are just really fun to listen to. I've been listening for the last 20 minutes or so, and I've really enjoyed everything you guys have said. Yes.
What do you want? What is it you want?
Does he have you confused with somebody else, or should I start playing?
Yeah, I don't know. What is it Joe wants? Joe wants something because that's so nice. I'm blushing. It was so good. It was so nice. So kind.
It's true.
So accurate. But I won't tell anybody how accurate it is.
In this world, let alone this business, compliments are few and far between. And
well, they certainly are, Joe.
And when somebody deserves one, they deserve one. You're very, very good. I listened to the entire segment. I enjoyed some things. Hell, I might even go online. Listen to me. I'm going to take my credit card right now, and I'm going to buy whatever you were selling today because I've got to follow you.
I think I'd rather have buy dinner.
I only have one thing for sale today, and that's a 10-year subscription. I'm discounting them.
I could cover that. I think we're okay.
And 10 year. And if there's a caveat and a disclaimer. If I don't live another 10 years, Joe, my wife will take over.
There you go. I'll take it.
Are you sure?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well,
you know what? I'll take two.
Are you sure?
Two of them.
This is great.
All right then.
We're gonna get to after Joe does his
listening.
After Joe does his pick, which by the way, he's a Yankees fan, so I can't imagine. He went against them twice on the 2 times previous on this show. He went against his. No, he didn't go against the Yankees. He bet on the Red Sox, which is even worse for a Yankee fan, isn't it?
Well, I'll be honest with you. The Red Sox, the Yankees, the uniforms away. It really doesn't matter. We talked about this. It's about the head, not the heart. If it's the heart, hell, I was telling John a story. I have friends. I'm sitting in a room there. There's over $1 million worth of sports memorabilia in this room alone. I have friends that played for the Red Sox that walked into my house after playing golf and said, "Where's the ball I gave you?" I said, "You're a Red Sox. It don't go up. Do you see? I have Carl Yastrzemski. I've got Ted Williams. Do you see them out? Do you see Larry Bird? I have Tony Finn. Tony, I have a Dream Team ball right here. The original Dream Team with every member signed by Chuck Daly, Coach K, and even Christian Leitner, who didn't sign a lot of the balls. Right here. You know where Larry Bird's signature is? In the back. He's a Bostonian. That's fine.
That must be a special room, Tony.
But John, I've got to tell you, when I'm talking sports, when I'm talking betting, we talk about there's 2 places your heart never belongs. It's betting and in love. Use your head, you'll always be okay.
How did I know he was going to say that?
The most. Listen, yesterday I was at a friend of mine's house, and he has some boxing paraphernalia or boxing stuff that amazes me. He has like a Tyson and Douglas. Caesar's Palace, Jack, a lot of signed trunks and stuff like that. My most valuable piece of sports memorabilia would be in 1994. Arrowhead Stadium tore out the artificial turf, and they put in natural grass. Mm-hmm. And when they tore it out, back then I worked for an engineering firm. And we got the we got the bid. We got all the turf, and they were cutting it up and making like coasters and stuff out of the turf, out of the AstroTurf. Well, somehow, some way, a couple of big pieces of turf got lost. They got lost, and so I said, "Listen," I said, my wife knew Peterson, who was the GM, and you guys will all remember Peterson. Knew him pretty well. Knew his daughter. His daughter was our age, believe it or not. And but long story short is he got Marcus Allen and Joe Montana to sign the turf, and because they played, that was the year that Marcus had played. The Chiefs picked him up. They'd already traded for Joe Montana, sure. And so I have a piece of Arrowhead turf,
wonderful,
that's signed with blood from Marcus Allen and Joe Montana.
Wonderful. And
the thing is that neither of the color is not red. They're aliens. They didn't even bleed red.
Well, you mentioned,
it was so damn good.
If you don't mind, you mentioned Mike Tyson. Now, Mike is a friend of mine for many years. Just above me, just right here. The night he beat Tony Tucker over at the Hilton, I have his robe and his shorts signed to me with some fun stuff right there. I have some fun stuff here, but I have to tell you this one thing because I know you guys are going to get a kick out of it, and it ties into your golf segment. So, I am a large sports memorabilia collector, one of the bigger private guys. I know in Nevada, I don't know in the world, but in the Nevada. So, a friend of mine had brought in Jim Kelly to have a signing over at Caesars. Maybe my wife is down the hall, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years ago. So and then we started talking. He says, so-and-so told me you're a good golfer. I'm going to go play. Would you like to golf? I got nobody to golf. I said, I'll golf with you. So we had to play golf. Whooped his ass, first of all, which was fun. I did to him what the Cowboys did to him in the Super Bowl. So on the way back, he says, so-and-so also told me that you collect a lot of memorabilia. Can I come and see some? So I said, sure. So we go play golf. I live if you left in New York, your hotel, Tony, you go west on Tropicana, 6 miles, make a right turn. I live right in there. So he follows me home.
Right now?
He follows me home. We go and we come in, and he's looking at stuff like a kid would look at stuff, like a child looks at sports, like a sports fan, a young sports fan with that glimmer in his eyes. He says, what's your most valuable piece? What's your favorite? Well, most valuable or favorite? I said, I've got Babe Ruth. I got Lou Gehrig. I even have Bill Dickey, which I like a lot because my father idolized him and he didn't sign a lot. I've got this. I got that. I got the other thing. I said, but if you really want to know what my favorite things are, I said, I have 2 pieces. I represent our country twice in the Little League World Series, and I went 5 for 5 with 5 home runs in Japan. We whooped their ass. I got the game ball. Here it is. And I also have my son who played his first T-ball. First year playing T-ball. I have his first home run ball. Those are my favorite things that I ever. He said, so real, okay. But if you want to talk rare, I've got a University of San Francisco game worn and signed to me by Bill Russell. They tell me there's 3 of them in the world. So he says to me, this is a true story, Tony. He says to me, my favorite thing is a Dale Earnhardt Jr. fire suit. And out of my mouth, Tony, it was like when the doctor hits your knee with that little thing. Out of my mouth says, you think NASCAR's a sport? So he says, he looks at me like I had 3 Bibles. He says to me, what do you mean it's not a sport? You need eye-hand coordination. I said, my father's 80 years old. He drives faster than them on city streets. Let them turn right just once. So then he got a little, I was busting his chops. I wasn't serious. I was just busting his chops. We spent 4 hours playing golf, having fun. So then he says to me, I know you have a lot of Buffalo stuff here. And I just, well, not for nothing. I'm not a bit, but you got a lot of, and he's what is it? You got a lot of Cowboy stuff. I said I got close with a couple of the Cowboys, got to like them. Emmitt Smith, a lot like me, lies about his height, great running back. Well, he had that offensive line. I said, whoa. Let's not go here. So he says to me, we had Thurman Thomas. I said, wait a minute now. I said, Emmitt Smith played 4 games with a separated shoulder against the 4 best defense in the league, the last 4 games of the year. I said, Thurman Thomas took himself out of the Super Bowl for stomach cramps. My wife gets stomach cramps every month. You don't see her taking a... This is how we ended it. About an hour later, I get a call from my friend. He owns Field of Dreams. He said, Joe, what did you do to Jim Kelly? This guy don't even want to come back and sign for us. Anyway, I had to tell you, not just fun stuff. And I do think eye-hand coordination. I'm not putting down NASCAR. I'm not putting down anything. I'm not putting on the Buffalo Bills. You know how great you got to be to get the 4 straight Super Bowls? I'm just like to have fun with people, Tony, and
me too.
You know, that's all. That's all. You know, hey, listen, if I got offended by everything like a lot of people do, I would be offended by everybody in the NBA because I lie. I say I'm 5'8", so I would hate tall people. So I just like to have fun with people and have a good time. And Jim got really upset about that whole NASCAR thing, and then he was telling me about Cowboy stuff and Herman Thomas. And I said, Jim, listen, come on.
He'll get over it.
Steve Merrill's coming on the show pretty soon. We could wait for him to come on and talk NASCAR for a while.
He'll get over it.
I will tell you this. I did not, coming from New York City, living in Las Vegas the last 31 years, but coming from New York City and being an athlete, I was not a NASCAR fan. We have a friend who is very close with a lot of NASCAR drivers. We got to meet this one driver, very well-known guy, and he invited me to a race maybe 5-6 years ago. Never in my life have I ever experienced what it's like for the pledge, the national anthem, and the pledge at every single NASCAR event where everybody, I saw a gentleman with no legs pick himself up off his wheelchair to stand for the national anthem, and I'll never in my life, I've never seen anything that was as touching. I'm getting goosebumps now. So my hat's off to everybody in NASCAR and all the fans. Man, it is just, they really are. It's a wonderful thing. And they follow people like Deadheads used to follow the Grateful Dead. They follow so the loyalty, the love, and I love that. And it is a lot of fun. When you're there, it's an enjoyable thing. I just, I'm a city guy, man. We like baseball, basketball, football, a little bit of hockey because there's fights and we like to hit each other. That's about it.
Well, we got Nick Hub in the chat room giving you a compliment, I believe. Joe is Sports Memo's Chris Russo. Love it.
Wow, I love that. Thank you. Tell him thank you. Thank you, Nick.
I definitely will. So let's get to your free pick. I see Las Vegas Chris is backstage, and I think he's going to give us all 17 weeks of his best bets.
Well, give me. I got to have some drugs before I listen to that.
All right, Joe, fire away on that Yankees play.
Well, okay. First, if you don't mind, I got to do a plug because I'm really taking it. Ever since I started with Sports Memo, everything is great. I'm so proud and honored to be here. Documented, I've won 10 straight premium baseball plays, 11 on my last MLB, my last 11 because I threw a few free game in there. One of the highest winning percentages in this season in NBA, riding a 27-13-2 run in hoops. Guys, I have 2 big winners on the board at Sports Memo tonight. I have my 90%, 9-1 this season. That's documented. 9-1 this season MLB home run play. My 50-13-1 NBA Vegas Insider move. But guys, I am so taken back with the support from Sports Memo. I've got to tell you what they did for me. They allowed me to post a special just today, an exclusive special. Let me an exclusive special. Go to Sports Memo right now. Pick up my MLB discounted season package right now. And they will throw in the rest of the NBA absolutely free. Guys, there isn't a better deal on the planet. Go to Sports Memo. And I can't thank the crew over at Sports Memo, guys, enough. I've been doing this since I'm 10 years old in the schoolyard with football sheets. I've been doing it professionally for 31 years, but 20 years working with other companies. Never seen a company that is as supportive and that just they're in your corner like you can't believe it. And I'm so proud to be here with you guys. I do have a free winner if that's all right, John.
You got it, man.
Okay, we're gonna go on the diamond in the AL where New York travels to Camden Yards, face Baltimore. Granted, New York has some players sidelined. Gleyber Torres just got put on the COVID injured list, and despite all that, they are winning 11-4 the last 15. And folks, I double checked this. Of those 11 victories, only 5 did they score 6 or more runs. So the Bronx Bombers are beating teams without bombing the ball at the plate. Say that 10 times fast. Very quietly, and this is something I double and triple checked because this isn't traditional for Yankees pitching. Very quietly, the New York pitching staff now ranks 4th overall, team ERA of 3.22. Guess what? Number 1 in the majors in the WHIP. Number 1 WHIP. Corey, don't call me Kluber Lang, Corey Kluber, 2-0. 2-0. I got another one later for you. 2-0 with a 1.33 in his last 3 outings. He takes the mound on the road here. He's already beat the Orioles a little more than 2 weeks ago. He brought his career record versus Baltimore 4-1 with a 2.73 in 8 starts. The Orioles send, you're going to like this, they send Dean past the Creamer, please. Dean Creamer to the mound. 0-3 this season with a 6.23. Guys, what really jumped out at me about this matchup was the fact that Kluber had so much success in his career against Baltimore. Here's the stat on Dean Creamer. Of his 0-3 mark this season, 0-2 against the Yankees with a whopping 11.05 ERA in 2 starts versus New York. The Yankees are very successful in Camden, 21-6 the last 27 at the O's, and the O's are accounting for just it's sorrowful. 3.73 runs per game. So I'm going to put the Yankees out, lay the 1.5, and you will take your bookmakers' money here today. I'm not going with my heart, guys. It's just the right play.
That's awesome, Joe. We do appreciate you stopping by. I just love having you on. It keeps it keeps Tony on his toes. I mean, I've never seen him like this.
Yes,
it's the best. Tony, are you here in Vegas? Tony, are you in Vegas?
Yes. According to Kelly, I'm in the ghetto, though, Joe. I live in the ghetto. She said.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
After the show, I'm gonna send John my number. I want you to have my number. You give me a call. We'll go out. Listen, just between. I'm married. I'm very happy.
I'll get the bail money ready.
And I don't want to get you jammed up, but I got a couple of girls that are watching the shows. They've been asking about you, so I just want you to know. Not kidding. Mm-hmm. I'm just joking.
Well,
no. But I want to give you my number.
They must be dead then if they're asking about me. Because I know I look dead. I've been married 27 years, Joe.
Not good. That's beautiful. That's great.
I think that's the only thing I've done right, I think, in my whole life. Really, I think it's the one thing I've done right, and I don't think I've done it as right as it could have been. But here we are.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I've done 21 years with my lady. To be honest with you, I don't know how anybody takes me for 21 minutes. I could give aspirin a headache. I give aspirin a headache. Actually, last year, instead of giving her a present for the 20th year, I sent a letter to the Pope to have her canonize the saint. I don't know how she puts up with me.
They tell me that they're gonna have a statue, Susan, when I basically gonna be a monument made of her that she put up with me that long. And like you said, for 5 minutes, yet alone, or 27 minutes, yet alone 27 years.
My favorite slogan is, "I outkicked the coverage," and there is no doubt of that.
Tony, I want to get together with you. I want to get
together. Brother.
I'm going to send you my.
I'll tell you where I'm at. I'm up here. Listen, one of my favorite elephants passed years ago from Circa Circus, and so he's buried up here in the cemetery, and I'm across the street. I'm close to him.
Okay.
Tenaya and Craig. I'm up here I'm about 15 minutes north of the Strip. Tenaya, Craig, Tenaya, 95, and Craig, right there. There's a pet cemetery up here that has one of the Circus elephants buried in here, and I found it just warmed me all over, so I moved in close.
Well, I want to get together with you. Everywhere in Vegas is only people in Vegas don't realize what traffic is like in Manhattan at 5 o'clock, but everywhere in Vegas 15 minutes away. And Tony, just want to let you know, no matter what happens, I always carry bail money on me. We'll be fine.
Well, that's good.
I got you. I'll back you up in case you get robbed.
Yeah. My wife does too.
I'd like to.
My wife is the best. You see, if you call me, if you ever need any help with that, my wife's pretty good with that. She's got a staff. She doesn't tell me, but 15 minutes. The problem with Vegas, though, Joe, I won't go into the story, but where I'm from, they give you a chance to pay your bail from the police car. Here, you're there for a day. That's all. It doesn't matter when you get your bail placed. It's going to be 24 hours, 12 to 24 hours. It just is. So,
wow.
And that's for no driver's license.
Now we got 2 guests ready to come on.
All right. Yeah. I want to thank everybody. Tony, I love you. John, thank you for everybody out there. Good luck. Have a winning day.
Joe, thank you very much, Joe.
Say hi to Mike Tyson for me. Yep. I love him.
Hey, welcome to the show, Las Vegas Chris.
Oh, my
God.
How are you?
Good afternoon.
And then
I need tequila. Bad.
and then we have the legendary. In fact, you know what I realized is that Joe D'Amico has all the autographs of everybody that's legendary except for
Mine.
Rob Vino.
Oh yeah. And
We can arrange
he can
that.
have. You know what? He could get Chris's autograph. Let's have Chris. Let's have him sign the back of that check behind him, and we'll have the check and Chris's autograph.
Well, I
Well,
hate to
would
tell
like
you
to have
guys.
been on- I would have liked to have been on there because I made my living in collectibles for 15 years. So
That's
all the
right.
stuff he's buying, I'm selling.
You know who I saw all that boxing stuff? That was at our buddy's house yesterday, Chris. I happened to be visiting a friend of ours, and he had a bunch of boxing stuff he had bought. A bunch of new stuff. It was pretty interesting, I'll say the least. You know.
Well, we do have a. You can always text me if there's a topic that you want to engage in. I can easily bring you in.
Meh.
But Joe was on a roll. He was definitely more energetic.
He just needs to bring some more energy to the table.
Yeah, more. He needs to share some of that Addy with me. That's for damn certain.
Oh, Rob, thank God you're here.
Glad to be here, fellas.
Well, we're gonna talk a little football with Las Vegas Chris now, and that would be the NFL version. Go through some of the things he, kind of filters through to start getting down to a couple good plays, and I think he actually has a lean too in week 1 or on the futures market, I think.
Well, you asked me to come on with some NFL, and I'd love to come up here and say, oh, well, I've got this and I've got that. I think it's important for everybody that doesn't already know this to understand that the NFL is the most efficient market there is out there. The vast majority of people do not win in the NFL. You have to really do your homework, and it's an all-year process. It really is. You expect to sit there and read the weekly newspapers and such and think you're going to be able to find an edge that nobody else has considered, you're sorely mistaken, as Tony would say. But what I'm doing now is basically just getting the foundation. It's extremely important. You've got, I forget how big the roster is, 55 people. You have to keep up with a lot of unpleasant to keep up with stats and moves and goals of each team. So with the turnover that you had with the free agency and such, you won't even hear about some teams losing key players. And, most people just know the glamour stars and such. A team is comprised of depth. It has to have the depth, and teams that have better lines and a better collective group are in much better shape than teams with star players sometimes. So you really have to know and you can't just do it at once. I find you want to absorb it a little bit at a time. So I'm not in any hurry to bet anything. I think it's kind of silly because things can only pretty much go wrong. So unless you're finding a diamond in a rough on some big plus money, what's the point? I mean, that's what I get DMs from people all the time, and they're, I want this, I want that. And I'm like, why? Things can only go wrong with injuries or anything else. Unless you have a reason to bet something that's a heavy dog and it's going to move down, like Denver. I mean, Denver was the perfect thing. It was 60-1, and now it's down to 30-1. There's the futures you're trying to look for. I've only placed one future, and it's just a gut check. I took the Giants plus 500 to win their division. And I did that even before I remembered Galladay's on the team, for gosh sakes. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yep.
And so my belief with the Giants, they had character. They played hard all year long. And even at the end, they were playing hard. They were decimated with injuries. And they could have quit. They could have tanked. they did. There's something about that team that I think has character, and I like him. And I don't think anybody should be getting plus 500 in that division. There's just too many things that go wrong, and there's not a clear-cut favorite. So that's the reason why I took them. But, it just, it wasn't a big bet or anything like that. I'm not going out of my way to find wagers. I'm going out of my way to absorb the draft, what the teams added, and that takes time. You can't do it in a day. You can't do it in a week. You got to take a team or two a day so you don't burn out, and it takes a little bit of time. So that's what I'm doing.
A team or two a week.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
yep.
Chris,
constant revisiting.
if you don't mind asking you this question, NFC East, we have the Eagles that have a tremendous hole at middle linebacker. We have the Dallas Cowboys who are in desperate need of a safety, but look a hell of a lot better than they did last season on paper and came through the draft, I think, pretty well. Then you have the Giants, as you just described. And you have the Washington Redskins, who many think are the team to beat in the NFC East. So the question is, like with the Eagles starting with them, how big do you think that hole at middle linebacker is? And will that, in past years when you've done your analysis, does that impact the team in the first 4 weeks of the season, having that glaring problem on defense? I mean, will offenses automatically go to it?
In one division, in that division, one player isn't going to change, all that much. What's the backup? What's the depth behind it? I honestly, on that particular, I'm not up to date on it. I was surprised to find. I heard from several different sources that I would have thought Philadelphia would have been aggressive this year, but apparently they're not going to be aggressive. I'm trying, they're an enigma to me at this point because I thought that they had enough where they would really be aggressive, and maybe that's not their strategy. So there might be a complete reset going on there, which would make that Giants even better.
Then the Eagles signed Eric Wilson, right?
Sorry?
They signed Eric Wilson, right? The Eagles?
I think that is correct.
Well, Rob would know. He's a Eagles fan, aren't you, Rob?
Eric Wilson, Rob.
Yeah, they signed Eric Wilson. He's their new middle linebacker, right?
And just because you live in the vicinity doesn't make you a fan. I have no allegiance to the Eagles. I take more pleasure in, watching the Eagle fans go crazy around here.
Well, did they? Let me ask you this: do you know who the Eagles drafted?
Yeah, they drafted Devontae Smith.
Yep.
Okay. Did they draft? They pick up? I won't even ask because
they could have got Parsons.
Look it up.
They could have got Parsons. Just saying.
Micah Parsons?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I thought they were going to draft was Micah Parsons.
I thought so too.
From Penn State, he's a good size too. He's 6'4", about 250. That's a pretty good size middle linebacker.
And very quick, laterally.
Yeah.
But he didn't play. He opted out for the college season, which is his right to do. And
yeah.
I think if he would have played and stayed healthy, he probably would have been a top 5.
Top 7. Chris even asked me, "You pay attention to the draft?" I said, "I pay attention to the draft after it's over."
Yeah, that's true.
And then I start studying what players went where and how they fit, how they don't fit. What's it mean to the players that are there? Those are the things that matter to me. I know that Nick Bolton, which was somebody should know something about Nick Bolton, shouldn't they? There you go. He was an option? I thought in the middle rounds for the Eagles. That's what I thought too. And McGrone, which is something Chris should know, who McGrone plays for. He was an option for them in the middle rounds too. So out of Michigan. But I don't know. I don't pay much attention to that. Chris, we were talking about that because he has a nice guide, a draft guide, and all the things that go on, and the importance of those things. I let that important work be done by others, and then, it's I have no control over that. I just have a control over what I do moving forward with my assessing that players and how they fit. That's what I have control over. At least I think I do. I pretend I do. But Any Mizzou, no Mizzou players. Fading anybody that draft Mizzou players.
Ah, dear Lord. They didn't address that spot on the field, though. I mean, it's a weakness, and you know, the depth chart I'm looking at right now, Tony, shows Eric Wilson even as the backup to Alex Singleton right now. Singleton played last year. You know,
well, if he's a backup to Singleton, then,
I mean,
they need to address it. Yeah,
they're just, you know, John, you brought up the point the other day. You know, the first game of the season is against the Atlanta Falcons. Eagle fans here don't seem to be really concerned with the Falcons, although they're coached by Arthur Smith, who's a tight end coach by trade, who's going to run 2 tight end sets, and the Eagles can't cover anybody at the second level. So maybe they should be worried opening day,
especially tight ends.
Well, that's why Chris got the Giants at 500-1. Anyone can, or plus 500. Anyone can win this division. Am I right? I mean, maybe.
You are right.
What I think when you're playing futures also is you have to look at the schedule flow. The schedule flow this year changed
a lot of things. I'm writing an article right now on that 17th game. And who, you know, I've read some articles, guys, Chris, some guys' strength of schedule. And I couldn't, I have to write another one because I couldn't disagree more. I think basing strength of schedule on last year's records is the most absurd thing in the world.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, you're 100% right.
Yep.
Last year's record is nearly meaningless.
Right.
And when you see those charts, there's a lot of other factors involved with strength of schedule.
Yep, but I saw some strength of schedules and it's like, who signed their name to this? Because not that I know anything, but I know it's bull. I know it was crap.
Might start with the commissioner.
Yeah, I know a little bit about.
You know, Goodell. I mean, he'll sign just about anywhere, I would think.
Hell yeah!
Just don't get me started about him, but you know, it is what it is. Strength of schedule to make a new schedule is about as meaningful as ERA is in baseball right now.
Means nothing.
I don't know how they cannot get the schedule right. It's just absolutely amazing what they do to some teams year after year. You give some teams all this extra rest throughout the season, and then other teams are playing.
They set it up. I mean, there's some pretty interesting games this year, guys. Really, Chris. I mean, and Rob and John. The fact that Brady, I think week 4, has headed back to Gillette for a game. That's just that's interesting. The opening game. Who's playing? It's Tampa Bay and who for Thursday night? What's the opening?
Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas. Well, that makes perfect sense because Dallas is obviously going to be one of the top teams in the league again this year, like they are every year.
Hey, it's a statement game in week 1.
Yeah. Holy crap!
You know what they say about teams that are
0-2. Chris can come over and we would talk about these Dallas teams. They were already dead in the wind, dead in the water. They were already like 8 feet deep in a 6 foot grave. And they were losing with Prescott, with their famous quarterback. They're all pro, huge Hall of Famer quarterback. And then they were still favorites. And people were saying, "Well, look at this line. You can't pass this. Can't pass this value up." Well, yeah, you should, and you can. And it's just funny stuff. It's just funny how we every year. Jerry Jones would be my first. If I was a fan, it would be my first letter. It would be my first. If I was on the board, if they have a board, it will be to replace Jerry Jones. I mean, we really need to get. Is football better? Is NFL better? If Dallas is better, I don't know. Is it?
Well, when the media
America's team,
when the media tells you that they're better, then they must be better.
Well, no, I mean,
I think they'll be better than you think. I think.
well, I guarantee you, there's about I don't know. I'm guessing there's probably about 30 or 40 million Dallas fans that say they better effing be better. It can't be any worse.
Yeah, it was pretty ugly. But I was kind of saying that tongue in cheek because my style is more contrarian. So if I start feeling like the sentiment, and I run those apps on Twitter, getting what the sentiment is for a team, the betting community for a team, and that gets lopsided like we saw on Monday in the stock market and Bitcoin. Then when everybody's pointing the same direction and all the sheep are facing north, and you're a sheep, you probably want to go against the grain.
Well, it's funny you said sheep because Chris told me that there was some sheep. That he went to the grocery store this morning. There was some sheep at the grocery store, but I won't go there.
In Vegas?
Yeah. Sheep in the grocery store.
Are you sure they weren't humans dressed in sheep costumes?
Farmer's market. I don't know. This is all hearsay. I'm just passing that information along.
Let me say this real quick, guys. You were just talking about some injustices that are done in that schedule making and how they can get it so wrong. I don't have it in front of me, but I remember yesterday seeing what they did, and I don't know what the Indianapolis Colts ever did to the league, but their first 5 games out of the chute, I'll try and pull it up here, are ridiculous. They're trying to make that team 1-4 on paper, at least, right out of the gate, maybe even worse. But I don't know how they become so top heavy, so back heavy. Like Chris said, how teams get extra rest in their better situational stuff. But the Colts, believe me, right out of the gate, that's a different.
Wow, look at that schedule. Yeah, the first 5 weeks are really rough.
Yeah. Well, what's the chances of Andrew Luck coming back?
0.
No, but real quick,
No,
let Chris
0?
read them off. Chris has them there. Let him read them off. I mean, it's a tough schedule.
They have Carson Wentz.
This is the only game I've actually bet, and not because I think it's necessarily going to win, but I just think now I like it even more, and I'm going to bet it more on it. I took Indianapolis minus 2.5 because I don't understand how they can't be at least a strong 3.
In week 1?
Yeah, against Seattle in Indianapolis. Is Seattle harmonious? Wilson had
they're good. Listen,
the door.
Seattle's figured out. They've figured out how to play Eastern Time Zone on the road. They're better there than they are at CenturyLink. That's a better spot for them.
They figure okay out there, but Indianapolis has a lot. But so that's the only play that I've made, just because I know I can get plus a cheap 3 at the very least, because it's got to go up. But then they play Rams.
Hold on. So the Indianapolis is a favorite by 3. I haven't looked at the numbers yet, but I thought they were favored by 3. Okay, 2.5. All right.
Yeah. Then they play the Rams.
Okay.
Then they go to Tennessee.
Yeah.
To Miami. Mm-hmm. And then to Baltimore. 3 straight road games against competition like that. That is a very tough start.
Yeah.
But it's based on the strength of schedule.
Well, how did Tampa Bay end up with the easiest schedule?
Well, that's not. They're not.
Yeah, but the media told us that Dallas is a very tough team this year, so that's based on strength of schedule from last year.
And
I'm just being sarcastic.
How did the Lions end up with the second or third most difficult schedule?
Yeah, there you go. That's a really good point.
You want to know an aberration? I'll ask you, and we'll let John look this up, guys. But when was the last time that the team that had the number 1 pick in the draft, not because they traded for the number 1 pick, because they were the worst team in the league, is a field goal favorite in week 1 on the road? Now that is something.
I think you guys keep talking. I think I can.
I don't know.
This.
If you can find that, if you can find something equivalent to that, I find that. I bet there's not a lot. I bet it hasn't happened too many times.
This might take me 2 or 3 minutes. I have to do the different.
Yeah, that's
am I wrong? Am I wrong? Doesn't that sound? I mean, Jacksonville's a 3-point favorite, 2.5 to a 3-point favorite over Houston in week 1 in Houston. And they had the number one pick, not because they traded for guys, but because they had the worst record.
Wow.
Right.
That's going to come back down.
Yeah. Well, and Houston's not very good. We both know. I mean, their GM/coach, or if that's what you want to label him, did a number to that team for a couple of years. I tell you, I'm still shaking my head for the trade that they're trading a running back for, arguably one of the best 2 or 3 wide receivers in football. It's just it's a mystery. Well, a mystery to me.
Well, and you can't trust one of the things you always want to look for at the start of seasons is fading teams with new coaches and new schemes.
I agree with that,
especially first-time NFL head coaches. So it's a double whammy there.
Yeah, right. And I don't understand that either. But what do again, we talked about this earlier. Live and let live. I mean, I just don't get it. Listen. If you called me and said, Tony, we know that you don't have any NFL coaching experience. We know that you would prefer to chase Quaaludes as chase a golf ball. We know all these things, but we want you to coach the Jaguars this year. I would say I would turn and run as fast as I could.
What do you think is going to happen there? You think Trevor Lawrence is going to have a good year? I mean, relatively speaking, for a rookie.
I don't think I'm a guy who fades rookie quarterbacks. I don't care if you I think you're Troy Aikman. I think when you're a rookie quarterback that you're Troy Aikman. If he's not going to sit behind somebody for a year and learn. I mean, Mahomes was a pretty good quarterback in his first year, but he didn't play. But he sat and watched and people don't give. I don't know if they give Andy Reid enough credit. They probably don't give Alex Smith, who's a pretty good guy, pretty good. He's been a pretty good person, a pretty good teammate for the most part. I think he helped Mahomes a bunch.
Yeah, I'm still working on this query.
That's fine, but it doesn't. But that's strange. It's different. I don't remember. Do you guys? Not that it hasn't happened. I'm just saying I don't remember that ever being anything. The team that got the number 1 overall pick because they were -1 and 17 last year. Is a 3-point favorite in week 1.
Yeah, and in that query, John, while you're at it, go ahead and input. The opponent has to have a quarterback with massage parlor habits like Deshaun Watson. And
can't begrudge him for that. You cannot begrudge him for that.
If you can get to that, I mean, listen, if Watson is able to play, and right now it doesn't look like he's going to be able to play, but if Deshaun Watson plays, that line is completely different, right? I mean,
yes, I agree.
So if you project that he's going to walk from this and be able to be on the field week 1, then you're betting Houston right now.
And let me ask them. What do we know about that situation? Other than
it's a whole bunch.
The Kraft was not involved in this.
Right.
This particular massage parlor thing. That's all I know. That's all I've been told.
I get scared by the word massage anymore.
Yeah. If you have an Asian wife, it's common. It's like Chris. His wife is a beautiful little, such a nice lady. I don't know how she puts up with Chris, but she does.
Well, one question I do have while I'm toying with this, because I might have to not have so much distraction in the room here to actually do this, but because I'm trying to combine 2 different databases now. But I will get it. I will get the answer. Aaron Rodgers situation.
Yes.
The media tells us that, don't worry, the head coach and the organization want him back.
That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. I think you can read this situation pretty well without having to listen to the media, to listen to people like us.
Well, I'm just comparing us to them. But what do you? What do you think happens in Green Bay? I mean, if he plays,
I think Aaron Rodgers plays for Green Bay, and I think at Kiss they make up, and Aaron Rodgers blames it on the media or miscommunication, and the Green Bay front office said we never worried about one lick, and we never even offered trades or even basically invited any or took interest in any offered to us. I just don't. I think it'll all go away. I think it all goes away. Just much like, listen, do you remember when Brett Favre was over the top, ready to strangle someone and shoot somebody, and when they drafted Aaron Rodgers, and not that went away necessarily, but all the way, but it's not a big deal. It wasn't really. I mean, that was all Brett Favre, right? I think this is all Aaron Rodgers. I think Chris would probably. I don't know. Here's the deal. Aaron Rodgers is a smart guy. And I've never met a guy that was really smart or a woman that was really, really smart. They just have they're like they think different. They're smarter. They do smart. They're wiser. They're just smarter. And with that comes with some quirks. They don't understand why us dummies do some of the things we do, and so we us dummies we make them we just claim that they're socially awkward. It's their fault.
Yeah, he's not. You're right. That whole thing's come full circle on Aaron Rodgers, right? He's no different than what Brett Favre was. The big thing then was Favre wants nothing to do with helping Aaron Rodgers become any better. He wants to play. He wants to be the starter. And right now, Aaron Rodgers, who didn't like that,
nothing to do with Love.
Nothing to do with Jordan Love to help him become any better. He wants to play, so he's really no different. The situation is exactly the same.
Like father, like son, right? Chip off the old block.
I guess they thought that they had something more when they had Rodgers because they let Favre go, and they're not letting Rodgers go.
They were no dummies, were they?
No, they did the right thing. Yeah. But the Russell Wilson situation, too, right before this, and John mentioned the media. Listen, you watch enough of the national media, and they want these things to happen. They want Aaron Rodgers out of there. They wanted Russell Wilson. In fact, that Russell Wilson deal was a mountain made out of a molehill. It was something for about 6 or 7 days, and then it was nothing again. And Russell Wilson's a far different personality than Aaron Rodgers is. Aaron Rodgers is a guy whose family doesn't even like him. So you start right there with Aaron Rodgers. But Russell Wilson is different, go Hawks all the time. He expressed a little a little dissatisfaction with his offensive line not being upgraded, which, and he wants a little bit of input. The team goes out and does everything they can. Him and Carroll had to iron a couple of things out. They got him his new offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron. They got him just about everything he needs. And approximately 2 weeks later, Wilson was good with everything, but it gets perpetuated day in, day out because there's nothing else to talk about. I don't think this situation ends up in a trade. I mean, we saw what we saw on draft day, right? The Broncos' odds go straight down because everybody thought that maybe it would happen then, but you'd have to be out of your mind to trade Aaron Rodgers at this point in time.
You'd have to be out of your mind to go play for
I'll disagree 100%. I think the trade. I think there's a big cap issue, and that's why they're holding off on this. I think they're out of their minds to keep Aaron Rodgers. If they can get that much stuff that they were talking about.
Well, what are they talking? What are you thinking they can get? How many?
I think it was 3 first-round picks.
I just don't think. You know how old Aaron Rodgers is?
37.
3 first-round picks.
I don't think you can get. I don't think you get that.
Why would you want to keep a guy there? Why would you want to keep that guy there when you know he doesn't want to be there, and you can get
that? I agree with
first-round picks.
I don't. I think he wants. I think he's just he's a little boy. He's just testing dad and mom. He wants to. It's like I'm sorry. I'm not coming. I'm not telling you where I am, and I'm not coming home until you get me a new transistor radio, mom, dad.
He's a big baby. You don't need him there.
Well, I let me tell you, if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, I'd certainly trade Prescott for him. At 37, I'd trade Prescott. I think Dallas made the mistake. We go on and on. You can't give a running back. You cannot give a running back the kind of contract they gave.
Yeah.
You can't do it. Running backs are the most replaceable piece in a football field. You don't give them that kind of a contract. It is absolutely franchise suicide.
You know, and real quick, guys, to Chris's point, there's 32 teams. It only takes one that's willing to give up those 3 draft picks. Rodgers doesn't have, to the best of my knowledge, Rodgers doesn't have any control over where they could ship him. So if they could find one and get themselves out of the salary
refuse.
cap,
he can refuse
so he
to
can
go,
refuse.
right?
All right.
That's the control he has. That's the only thing he has.
He said he'd go to Denver. And Denver's
he said 3 teams.
Yeah.
He said the Raiders. He said Denver. And who was the other one?
San Francisco.
San Fran. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
I just don't know which one of those 3 is going to give you 3 first-round picks for Aaron Rodgers.
They did a movie on that draft day where they gave up 3 first-round picks.
Kevin Costner.
Yeah, worked out for him.
Yeah. And enjoy your fucking pancakes.
Yeah, and David Puckney. I want David effing Puckney.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Well, one question I think I know how Chris leans this way, and I'm starting to lean a lot more this way with New England, being a team that had a lot of opt-outs last year. And Rob Vino told me something about their new quarterback when he was at the Senior Bowl. It was you, right?
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, this I think is important. I'll let him tell the story because this really sold me.
I know that story.
Yeah, it's
just
the
playbook.
You know, being the nerd.
Yeah.
That watches Senior Bowl practices. I mean, Matt Rule just said it. Matt Rule said that, generally speaking, in an all-star game like this, we would only introduce a quarter of the playbook to these guys because they're not a cohesive unit yet. But by Thursday morning, he had opened up the entire playbook to Mac Jones and said that Mac Jones was capable of going to the line of scrimmage and calling every single play and getting the team in the right set without fail. So Mac Jones' asset is between the ears and his accuracy, which in the NFL, guys, nowadays, who cares if you can throw it 85 yards, if you can put it on stride for yards after catch, if you can read a defense when you walk to the line of scrimmage. Those, at least in my mind, those are the 2 biggest assets you could have as a quarterback.
Can Mac Jones avoid 2 rush-ins coming at him that are about ready to sandwich? Can he avoid that? That's another important. I mean, I think he has to be some form of an athlete. I'm not saying Matt Jones is an athlete, but he's going to be pretty traditional, isn't he? Pretty pro style pocket. Going to fall on the ground when he sees someone because he can't get away.
Yeah, and that particular organization found a way to build offensive lines for a lot of years to protect their pocket passer who couldn't get out of the way.
You still take him off the X. You're right. Take him off his X, and that's how you beat him.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And that comes with the territory. If you're going to draft a pro-style quarterback, I think Chris alluded to in the trenches being one of the most important things when you're handicapping these teams, and even depth inside that offensive line. So Belichick's no dummy. You put together an offensive line for this guy, but McDaniels in that playbook can go pretty deep with a guy that can understand that playbook. I'm not sure that Cam is that guy. I mean, they tried to devise an offense to fit him last year, right? We saw him running the football 20 times a game the first couple of weeks of the season to suit his.
Well, he was a running back. He wasn't even a quarterback last year, was he? I think he was a running back. That was a wing T offense almost. It was an old Marv Levy wing T or something.
Yeah, they were shy on receiving threats.
They had a skeleton crew of helpers for him. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, the metrics said that team was doing everything else very well, but they were missing all the key positions.
When Edelman is your speed receiver,
exactly.
You're not going to get a lot of yak.
No, it's true. It's true. I mean, they had deficiencies, to say the least.
Yeah.
I don't understand how Cincinnati doesn't protect their future and draft linemen right
Yeah.
out of the gate. It just they had some offense already and no offensive line. It's just unbelievable. And I don't know whether the Bears did anything to address that issue as much as they needed to either. That was a complete and utter disaster. Whereas you look at the Detroit Lions, and boy, they built that up, and everybody's young and everybody's a stud. So everything else will be in net, but they're going to have one of the strongest offensive lines in football. So
it's a different day, right, Chris, in Detroit right now. I mean, Campbell came in, and he's got an absolute different philosophy than what we've seen out of the Detroit Lions with Matt Stafford at quarterback. Dan Campbell is a tight ends coach by trade. He's a tough guy. He's going to build it from the inside out, where Detroit was flinging it around the lot 45 times a game. And for a few years there, Matt Millen was drafting a wide receiver every single first round and failed all the way until he finally got it right with Calvin Johnson, although Matt Millen will tell you that he wasn't in favor of some of those picks higher ups were. But, yeah, I mean, Detroit's a totally different animal right now that will try and, again, from the inside out, use the running game, grind some clock. He'll build a defense, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of improvement in the Detroit Lions just because that's how you build football teams.
Well, they're building character guys, too, and I think that's really important to have. I mean, you look at Cam Newton, he doesn't fit with the Patriots. He doesn't belong there. Everybody knows that. And Campbell's kind of a one-off coach. Hey, the odds are stacked against the guy that's that rah-rah with no NFL head coaching experience, but you just never know. And if you can build and bring enough character guys to the team, and that's what there is a foundation of, they might be able to build back faster than we realize. They won't be this year, of course, but I like the idea of building character guys into the team.
And where we're at, guys, the point spread's the great equalizer, right? We don't care if it shows up in straight up wins and losses. We care if Detroit's getting 9.5 and loses by 7 because they're a little more competitive this year. So, and in the case of Campbell, I need to look it up here. But in football, as much as, we were just talking about rosters and roster building and that type of thing, the coaching staff is so important because the head coach doesn't spend a boatload of time with each position group. So if you can build a strong enough coaching staff around you and you can walk around and oversee, then you don't have to be the brightest bulb in the shed to run an organization. You got to get good position coaches, good assistants, and they can make you look real smart. It's like anything else. Any CEO of any company, surround yourself with smart people, you'll be okay. And
what did we hear for years? Every single year we heard people say Anthony Lynn's a great coach, but he should never be a head coach. Right. So he's on the Lions. If he just has that responsibility, maybe he'll have some success in that front.
Why didn't Cincinnati just trade for Darno and move him to the offensive line, and they have a lineman who could, be a backup quarterback?
Listen, let me go back to what Chris was saying real quick, because there's a billion examples of it where coordinators are meant to be coordinators and not head coaches. We've seen them fail at the head coaching level time and time again. I'll go to the college ranks real quick here, guys, just for a brief moment. Derek Mason, the head coach at Vanderbilt, he just couldn't succeed. First of all, it's a tough spot to be in. But now Derek Mason's back where he belongs. He's a defensive coordinator at Auburn. And I bet you Auburn becomes a much better defensive team real fast. Not that they were ever a poor one, but some guys are meant to be in those coordinator, position coach spots, and they don't take the head coaching real well. Like I say, there's a long, long list. There's a long list of Bill Belichick assistants that have failed in the NFL. So it's not for everybody. That's for sure.
I agree.
I have a few results for that query, and I stopped doing it. I'll tell you why. Because the team with the worst record wasn't always picking number one.
No, that's why I basically said, yeah. Well, you're right.
That's where it gets a little.
Yeah.
I gotta think it through to make sense out of what's returned. But some of the games, Cincinnati was +3 against the Chargers. Cleveland in 2018 -5.5 against the Titans. Cleveland again +4 in a tie game, 21-21 with the Steelers. Rams 2017, they were favored by 4 over the Colts, won 46-9. Tampa Bay 2016.
Are you talking about these are teams who had the first round pick?
Right.
They had the first pick in the draft.
Yeah, then it makes perfect sense. I mean, if the Chiefs or anybody else who had a winning record was a playoff team last year if they had the first pick overall because they traded it or earned it somehow, or it was a future gift from somebody who made a bad trade, then I can understand them being favorites.
So really, what you want to know is the team with the worst record, regardless of where they drafted.
Well, that's a pretty good. I would say this absolutely. That's probably a better way to word that. But I will say this. I just saw the line. I saw the line a couple months. I saw the line and I knew a couple things. I knew that the line's like Chris said right now. Unless you're positive, he's saying why would you take a team or why would you make a play on not only a future, maybe on a game, but unless only that thing that happens that Chris outlined for us happens in your favor. That would be the only. If you knew it was going to happen in your favor, had an idea, much like Chris saying, if you believed wholeheartedly that Houston was going to be healthy and had their starting quarterback, their all-pro starting quarterback, going to be playing for certain, then you probably want to be on Houston +3 right now.
I would think.
Yeah.
Well, I guess what we'll do now with the time here, and I have a dinner reservation in about 20 minutes. That's why I'm so dressed up.
Very nice.
This is my
dapper.
This is my best bet of the day.
Okay.
We're gonna bet over again. Let me get rid of this.
Man, he's really guys. He's really starting to chart this, and it's almost like betting angle by numbers. You can't screw it up.
I mean, the inspiration comes from Joe Ranieri.
There you go.
It really does.
Joe paints by numbers really well. So what he should be. I can understand why he would do this.
Yep. So Tony, you missed it yesterday. I guess were you on the NBA tip-off show?
I was supposed to be, but I got a hall pass.
There was I'm really disappointed Steve Merril didn't show up today. He must be mad at me for doing what I did. And what I did was I had his name on one of these slides, and one of the conditions of the betting system was not that the team ate at McDonald's, which is the one that you like the best. It was that Steve Merril was short Bitcoin.
Here we go.
And Joe was he said, well, that obviously fits the system. He's always talking about being short, so, Bitcoin and doggy. So I doubt where he's mad. Hi, Steve, out there.
Steve doesn't get mad. He gets even.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. I better lock my doors tonight. Yeah. But this is a betting over. It kind of feeds off of the one yesterday. 2 consecutive games posting a very good assisted turnover ratio of at least 2.50. And the favorite has had more rest than the opponent. Warriors have 2 days. Pelicans 1, 32-19 over, 63%. And then if the total is 225 or more, which has been the league average, the over's 14-7 the last 3 seasons. So it's to bet the Warriors and the Pelicans. But full disclosure, I was doing this 2-3 minute recording. Actually, when you were asking me about the baseball stats, the 6th inning thing.
Right.
So I'm doing this, and all of a sudden I look at the line on Wager Talk, and the line went from 230 to 225, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, Curry's not playing. So my whole rendition was on Curry, securing the scoring championship over Beal. that this game really doesn't matter to the Warriors in terms of their seeding, but Sunday's game against Memphis will. And it blew up right in my face. But I finished the show, and I got through it. But where is this total now?
221.
Well, this reminds me of when we talk about the chasing the injuries line, and you go contrarian to it. So 221. I'm still willing to bet this game based on this system, but as we always say, you got to do a lot more research than just betting an angle.
Yeah, 221 and a half, John.
Yeah, so that puts and what's the line? Like, I would imagine pick.
It's pick, yeah. New Orleans is actually a 1-point favorite in a few spots as I look.
Yeah, so I mean, ask yourself a simple question: if you think Golden State's going to score more than 111 points, which when they do, they're extraordinarily good on the over, then the bet's still valid. Or you just don't play it. Or you do what I do and sit with a beer in your hand and you do in-game. Which did not work well, Rob, with the Sixers last night.
Yeah, boy, that was another no-show, John.
Jeez.
No-shows back-to-back. I mean, why did they even bother flying Embiid? And in fact, where we are, John, your NBC affiliate, John Clark is the sports guy. He must be if you're in if you're in the Philly area. And John Clark actually tweeted out that Embiid didn't make the trip. And then about an hour before game time, he hits Twitter with Embiid just showed up and joined the team. So I don't know why they flew a guy that was sick to go out there and, lay the egg that they did. They looked like they had little interest whatsoever.
Well, he looked like he was sick. I mean,
yeah,
it didn't look like he was like, pouting on the sideline. I mean, he looked like he was just freaking exhausted. So I guess that wasn't such a good idea. But can you imagine, this is a betting mistake that, new bettors would make. You hear that news, Embiid's not playing. All right, so the line does what it does. Then all of a sudden you get that inside scoop off of Twitter that, oh my God, he's there. How many Philadelphians that we don't know probably jumped right away and bet the Sixers?
Absolutely.
And that's just it's never a good thing.
No, he wasn't right. He wasn't right.
But that anyway that's my best bet of the day. So we'll go over to Mr. Finn for his. And you can be brief if you want me to make my reservation and.
How about I make it? I'm gonna look up something real quick. I'll talk while I'm looking up. I'll multitask, which I
obviously can't do.
Well, I sometimes can do it. Sometimes
I can't do it. It's proved I can't do it.
And I'm going to go to a prop. This is a prop that we discussed. The reason I was researching this morning is one of the best teams at putting the bat on the ball. First off, is Houston. They don't strike out much. They put the bat on the ball. One of the other teams that does such, they don't walk very much. They don't walk near as much as Houston. They don't walk much. They don't strike out a whole lot. And they put the bat on the ball. They put the ball in place 68% of the time. That's the best in Major League Baseball. That's the Los Angeles Angels. And there's a strikeout prop that was 5.5. And Pavetta, one of your old guys, Pavetta is playing for Boston. And it was 5.5. The prop was 5.5 last night. It was kind of juicy at minus 132 or something. Well, I started to do this proposition. I started writing it up, started working on it. And then I glanced at it as soon as I talked to you. And I noticed it was minus 170. It had been absolutely hammered. And there's a reason why. And that is Pavetta is not, first off, he's not a guy who misses a lot of bats. He's capable. But for the most part, pitchers don't go 6 innings. There's only been 6 pitchers that have made it 6 innings or more against the Angels this year. And to get 6 strikeouts for a guy like Pavetta, he needs innings and pitches, for instance. And I don't think he goes 6 innings. So my pre-play was a prop on Pavetta under 5.5 strikeouts. However, I'm going to look it up right now to see what the juice is now because it had been hit obviously pretty hard. Somebody, it's shocking, isn't it, that somebody knew something I knew, and they thought this was a pretty good deal at $1.30. I'm kidding, but the latest juice on that is The latest juice on it is the site's crashing now because I've sent so many people to the site. I can't even get it on. It's busy. So that's my. Anybody else? Go ahead and give me.
When I did that query for you, weren't there 10 or 11 opposing pitchers that
there were, but not. They didn't get 6 strikeouts. There was only 6 that got 6 strikeouts or more.
Gotcha.
Against the Angels. See, that's it. And guess who those were? The Greinke, a future Hall of Famer. One was Glasnow, who almost strikes out 2 per inning. If you're Joe DiMaggio, so that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
That's a good stat. All right, so that's your prop bet.
It is. I'm gonna get the juice on it while you're talking to the important people on the show.
Well, we'll go to Rob Vino, and then we'll give Las Vegas Chris time to find the check that he's been searching for.
Yes.
Well, I'll go real quick while Tony looks it up, John. I don't want you to miss dinner.
Me either.
I'm going to go into Major League Baseball, first 5-inning line. I'm going to look for a little bit of a bounce back out of Tyler Glasnow. Tony just mentioned him. They play the Mets tonight. David Peterson. I know the Mets are on that 7-game win streak, but 5 of those are against Baltimore and Arizona. The other 2 are against St. Louis, where John Gant, who can't seem to find the plate, walks about 5 every game, and Johan Oviedo. So it hasn't been the most difficult stretch to win 7 in a row for the Mets. I think they get stopped here by Glasnow at home. He's had a tough road. He's faced some really good offenses in most of his games so far this year. I don't, classify the Mets as an extremely tough offense. So give me Glasnow minus the half a run. I'll go 5-inning run line. I think he's minus 20 cents when I looked earlier today. So I'll play that. Glasnow minus 20 cents, first 5 innings, lay the half a run.
Love it.
Yeah, Glasnow, 46 innings, 75 strikeouts, something like that.
It's crazy, right?
Well, who's the guy who set the major league record for the most strikeouts without a walk to start the season?
Corbin Burns.
Yes.
Burns.
Mm-hmm.
Gets late in the day here in the East Coast, and I can't think.
That's okay. 166, under 5.5. Pavetta, minus 166. That's a little bit for a pitcher. Listen, it's a little steep. I don't play it. Winner. Winner's a winner was winner. It's a winner. It's a winner. Unless it loses.
Now we'll move last, but certainly not least. And for those that don't know Las Vegas, Chris, this past year at the Circa Millions NFL contest, which is a brutally difficult contest because you have to pick 5 sides every week. And in case you forgot, there's bye weeks. There's injuries. There's everything that goes on. And then you get into those final 4 weeks where you're a contender.
Bunch of illegal aliens enter a contest. They have like 2 entries and stuff like that. The damn thing. That's
well, there's 3,500 entries regardless. Doesn't matter.
Not only did he finish second, he finished like 4th.
5th, I think. 2nd and 5th.
4th, 2nd, and 5th. That's like he's got a clone. I don't know.
And he's still looking for the Circa check. I guess that must be the super contest behind him.
I'd be happy with the 5th place check, personally.
What does a bank manager say when you walk into a bank with a piece of paper that big?
They put me on a 7-day hold, a 7-day business hold.
They had to shrink it. They had to find Alice in Wonderland and get
that's
that
after,
bottle of stuff.
That's after they called the Circa. They spoke to Circa to verify that the check was real, and then they said, well, it's still going to be a 7-day business hold. So if I
my God, I would have.
If I needed to have access to that money, I would have been really pissed.
Yeah, I guess given the size, you kind of relax a little bit. But
Chris, you know how those damn offshore checks, they hold them for 30 days. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's insane. The reason they do or used to do that is because interest rates were a lot higher than they are now. There's no carry with the float anymore, and float's not supposed to exist.
PayPal, they'll hold your money for a couple of days. I think when you have about $100 billion in laying around, I'd take that.
Yeah,
I'll take it a little bit of it. Yeah, probably not as big as Chris's Circa check, but I still take it.
I'm trying to figure out whether the profit he made on shorting Bitcoin this week is as big as the Circa check.
I don't know. All I know is I am yet to hear Chris tell me my percentage of that check because he would come over and we'd discuss those games. And all he did is say, "Well, if all you had to do is fade me, and you would have been perfect."
Oh, you were doing fine for a while.
Yeah.
Tony,
Until you started coming over.
In what week was that? 15 or 16? There's no way Tony Finn told Las Vegas Chris to bet the Jets. Las Vegas Chris thought that all by himself.
I don't know. I told him to bet some crazy stuff.
Yeah, but that was not football.
Crazy stuff. Well, no, it was football.
Okay.
The Jets? No, I don't. I think we talked about that Jets. We talked about it at length, but when it's that crazy, it's the only way to bet it.
But think about it. That was the way he leaped over guys in front of him in that contest.
Yeah. There was a couple. Listen, there was a couple that he bet that I told him that it would. That's you have to understand Chris too. You understand Chris is in many ways not just that contest, but in many ways it's just metrics, and it doesn't matter what number, what names on the jersey, and whether they're playing 12 or 11 or they got the umpire bot. It's metrics, and you're going to play this. You're going to play this because that's what makes sense. That's what the numbers say to play.
Whatever is most painful to play, that's what you play.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. The one that has absolutely no chance to win.
Well, I put that in so many write-ups. I go, I can't believe I have to play this game. I hate it. And then I would justify the reasons why. It's
Love it. Chris and I will have a show, and we don't have to talk about names or anything. It'll probably be pretty quick.
Only initials.
So, Chris, you're not obligated to give us a free pick for the show because the NFL doesn't start for a while. But if you want to do anything in any sport, WNBA starts tonight. I was hoping Skee was going to come on at least to talk about that a little bit. He actually follows it.
I know who Skee's on.
I'm on Minnesota, and that was from yesterday on the show. Remember?
You guys?
Yes. Yep.
I guess the one play that I liked was the Yankees under 9. It's a little tougher to find. It's mostly 8.5s now, but that's about it.
Bitcoin. Bitcoin.
Bitcoin goes up on Friday, so without even looking, I'll bet you it's up.
It is Friday.
Yeah. Is it up today?
I don't know.
It closed below 50,000 yesterday, and honestly, I don't care if it was up today. The trend is still bleak.
Yeah.
It's about the same.
Yeah, Steve Merril always said you don't try to catch a dead cat bouncer or something like that.
Yeah, I do.
It's filling that gap, John Ryan, as we talked about. It's trying to fill that gap, but it's in a real range right now, and it's going to break out. By the way, the S&P just filled a gap today from about 2 days earlier, John, and there's some amazing support and resist levels for the S&P. And it could go higher. Obviously it's been doing that for 6 months for no rhyme or reason, but if it doesn't get back up a few notches next week at the bottom, it could be all elevator floors down. So the S&P is at a real teetering point now. There's a lot of stuff
I have
going
friends.
We're sloshing in so much money, it's not even funny.
I have friends who want us to go down. They want us to just drop so they can buy more.
Yeah, well, what those guys are doing is different than what John and I are doing. John and I are traders. We're not investors. And
I didn't know there was a difference.
Huge difference.
Yeah,
okay.
I invest in.
Explain that to somebody like
if me. I can. If I bet Dallas in week 1,
are you trading to lose money?
If I bet Dallas in week 1, that's a trade. If I invest in Dallas, I'm betting them for the season.
Right.
Oh, really?
Or at least 4 weeks.
It would be the equivalent, Tony, to playing the saying, "Hey, look, the Cowboys will be a positive ATS team this year, so I'm going to play them every week, and I'm going to be 9-7 or 10-6."
I understand that concept, but I call it investing because it sounds better than betting. I call it investing.
I mean, the thing is, though, most people are buy and hold. Buy and hold is what people consider investing. And the S&P, when people are saying they want the S&P to go down to get back in, it's because they're long-term investors. They're buy and hold for the next 10 years.
Yes. And my friends are long-term. They won't even sell it. It doesn't matter. If you tell them right now that it's going to drop 10,000 tonight, they will not sell. They won't sell it. They won't spend it. they're in it for the long haul, and they've been in it since it was 8,000.
Correct, and it's not a bad way to do it if you do the long haul. But
right.
John and I are swing traders, and we're in for the short.
You swingers?
I
gotta go.
We are swingers. No. I knew that. I knew something would get Tony's attention.
It's a new financial term.
I don't care if it's soybean futures or if it's lean hogs or milk futures or Bitcoin or lumber. Bitcoin and lumber have been the two huge money makers for me this year.
They used to call it live cattle too.
Yeah, we do. I do feeder cattle and live cattle. They're two of mine.
The feeders are the ones that taste better.
The strippers just hate it when you call them live cattle, though. It's hard to get, what you want. But John, hey, John, you got dinner to go to.
I do, and I wanted to get Steve on
Merril,
here.
Thanks for offering to take care of me the other day when I needed a hall pass, so that's really nice of you.
And Steve,
Chris,
you
good to see you.
did see my betting angle of the day.
I got a buddy here, huh?
I wanted Mr. Merril to. Did you see the betting angle that I gave you notoriety on?
Which one? The Warriors over?
It was 2 days ago, and it was do this, do that, and as long as Steve Merril is short Bitcoin.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
No, I retweeted that one. I
got that one past the media guys, and it was pretty sneaky with that one. I thought.
Yeah, the Warriors over play that we had for NBA tip-off today, with the assist to turnover ratio is interesting, but with everyone sitting, including maybe Curry and stuff, it probably doesn't have a lot of credence tonight. Not
to belabor the point, but I told these guys in the middle of recording that for my little 2, 3, 4 minute segment, I looked at the line and had plummeted from 230 to 224.5, I think it was, while I'm talking. So my prop bet on Curry was out the window that I'd already said. Potentially this play was out the window, but now it's 221. So if you think Golden State can score 111 without Curry, then it's still a bet. That's what I said.
Very good.
Yeah, the NBA is a mess for the next 3 nights. I wouldn't disagree with any overs, John. So it'd be over or pass for me in any game, basically.
And Rob, don't watch the Sixers tonight.
Oh, they'll do the right thing tonight, John.
I think if we don't watch them for more than 5 minutes, they will win.
Yeah, they'll clinch tonight. Orlando will allow them to clinch.
I hope so. I hope so. Well, anyway, Steve, sorry you didn't get a full hour and a half here with us, but
I wanted to jump in and say hi real quick.
Yeah, appreciate it.
And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next show.
Yeah, which will be Monday at 4.
I got to start preparing for the rave. There's a big rave tonight, and the leader of that rave is Gabe Morency.
Yeah, it's pronounced
beautiful.
Rage. Tony, it's pronounced rage. I was going to say
it's rave, isn't it? No,
rage.
I'm going to tell
Steve
you said
tomorrow
it's
with tomorrow.
You didn't see my tweet. You didn't see my tweet when I said, "Oh, I'm out of ketamine and all that. I'm out of all this stuff, so it can't be a rave."
Sports rave. I like it.
But I know where to get some. I think maybe.
Rob, what were you going to say that is important to know?
No, just saying. I'll see Steve and Tony tomorrow on Joe's Sirius XM show.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, I thought you were in town or something. I thought both of you were in town.
Everybody watching, make sure to tune into Teddy Covers Sirius XM
when's
show
that?
tomorrow morning.
He's got a new show.
Yeah,
we discussed a lot of football today.
Does he have a? Can we call in? Does he have a? Can we call in? Can we call in, or can we get on the chat?
Yeah, I think
we got to
piss Teddy off. We can really piss Teddy off.
I think it's 8 a.m. Eastern and midnight into Sunday morning Eastern. So he's got some Morency-like hours. But yeah, 8 a.m. and midnight.
Well, I'll just
give him the channel, Steve.
Sirius XM channel 204. So we are taking over the Saturdays there at Sports Grid Radio. And you can watch it online at Sports Grid. Just follow him on Twitter.
Teddy Morency.
And
Teddy.
Finn and I will be on tonight at midnight, and Tony will be on at 1 a.m. I'll be on at midnight, and Tony will be on 1 a.m. Eastern time. And then
I'm going to mention all of you, too.
8 a.m., noon to 2, and then midnight again tomorrow Eastern with Joe, Rob, a bunch of different people. So, yeah.
I always wanted to be that caller that called in.
On the weekend.
Carmine,
yes. Carmine Bianco stops by. Joe rips him pretty good. It's pretty entertaining. He was mad last week because Carm gave out a 240 favor before I got on with you, Rob. So I heard about that.
Good Christ.
That's all. I was like, what's wrong with that? It's got like a 71% play automatically of winning. Why not do that?
It's his favorite 2 words in the English language.
Don't worry, Chris. We'll have our own show. It'll be just you and me.
Oh, I'm having fun. I mean, no problem.
But Rob, didn't you always in Philadelphia always want to be one of those guys that was calling up WIP to talk to Howard, and I have a different last name for him, but and say, yeah, this is John Ryan, first time, long time. It's like they took such pride in it. Like I finally had the guts to pick up the phone and call you.
Yeah, it's
Guys,
brutal.
I
Oh,
see you
God.
soon. I got to run.
Yep.
I'll be the first one to scat.
All right,
All right.
fellas.
Love you like something. I don't
Wait,
know what it
Tony,
is.
we got to keep this streak going. It's going on like 200 shows now.
What
So
is
for
it?
Las Vegas, Chris, Tony Finn, myself, Steve Merril, Rob Vino, Joe D'Amico, can't forget him, and everybody at Wager Talk Sports Memo and the Predictive PlayBook, may all the wins be yours.
I'll take them.